Well, 2020 has been a year to forget. Between COVID, a vote for us or else the world will end election cycle, World War III, or the potential thereof, Mr. Peanut dying, the Australian wildfires, things have been a little bit crazy. But with everything going on, I know I've been really, really worried, and I've just been carrying that with me. Between all those crazy things happening and then everything going on in my life, I felt kind of panicked this whole year. It's not healthy, for sure. And I realized that we need to take every thought captive to Christ. See, I was reading the other day and I came across 2 Corinthians 10, verses 4 and 5, and Paul says about spiritual warfare, he says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringeth into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ." And I think that's significant. You see, Paul had his worries. I mean, Paul was facing prison, and their prisons were a little bit less dainty than ours. But he compared his trial to what God said and what he knew God promised. And you know what? We know that Paul found peace in the prison. He was facing churches that were being unfaithful and wandering around and just doing whatever they wanted to do. And I'm sure that caused him worry. I'm sure that caused him stress. But he was able to work past that, not by diminishing it and saying, oh, well, it's not that big a deal. No, instead, he checked it against what he knew God said and what he knew was the right thing to do. The thing is, that's not just Paul's story. That's actually the story of Blind Willie Johnson. He was an old blues musician, one of my favorites, truly. And Blind Willie Johnson was a Christian to the day he died. And even though his stepmother, blinded him by throwing lye in his eyes when he was age 7, even though he started his blues career in 27, and by 1930, the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl had completely destroyed his entire customer base, even though in 1945, when his house burned down, no hospital would admit him because of his race. Even with all that, he kept his faith to the day he died. He was a minister, and he kept his faith until the day he died. So as you go forward, don't downplay your trials, don't downplay your worries, but walk forward in confidence. Take every thought captive. Every single bit of anxiety or worry or panic that comes across your mind, grab it, look at it, and compare it to Scripture. Compare it to Scripture, and you'll find peace on the other side. That's my word for today.